What up is Marcus with Dynasty Football Dads. We have a Jerry Jeudy signed jersey. When we hit 1,000, which we're like 30 away, we're going to be giving that away to one of you subscribers for free. And what we're doing on this video is we're going to be talking about a little twist in Dynasty. One of my favorite little twists. Twist and shout. All right, and then we're going to be giving away something on Patreon when we hit 1,000. So we're going to be announcing what we're giving away on Patreon when we hit 1,000. Again, thank you to all the new people that have donated on Patreon. I'll be adding you to the intro here soon. The little twist, and this is what the name of it is. We've all heard of all these different rules in Dynasty. And there's a couple different things, and one of them that I absolutely love. I absolutely love this because I'll walk through some strategy here. And if you're a part of new leagues, or if you're creating new leagues, I think this is a really, really good twist to add to these leagues. And it is called, basically, there's kind of two versions of it. Basically, there is the expansion draft or a reserve draft. And we'll go through what each of them means, because just me saying that, you're like, well, what does that mean? Because why does it happen every year? And there is no additional teams happening. Nothing is happening additionally. It is just another way to really get activity into your leagues. Activity equals fun. Trades equal fun. We want people to be active. So we're going to be talking a lot about taxi squads. If you don't know what a taxi squad is usually a rookie, or sometimes a rookie and a sophomore that is not counting against the roster. If you have to make roster cuts, this is where you have that taxi squad. And these taxi squads can have a player that is either in their rookie year or sophomore year that does not account against their roster. So just when I say taxi squad, that is what I mean. So let's go through we're going to go through reserve draft, then expansion draft. So reserve draft is simple. You have to make a certain amount of cuts. Even let's just say that you have 30-man rosters, right? But let's just say you have a 12-man reserve. What that means is before the rookie draft happens, you have 12 players that you have to basically protect. Now, you protect them against any other team in the league. Let's say 12 teams, you have to protect them against either 11. And you can do this with any amount that you prefer. Kind of 12, 13-ish is a really good, I think, rate. I think that's a really good kind of spot to be at. So let's just say 12, you get 12 players, okay? Follow me with me here. So you get 12 players. This is included with your active roster and taxi squad. If you choose not to protect any of those players, then a team that has less, let's just say I'm a horrible team in rebuild, and I only have nine players to keep. I am able to, and you can figure out an order to do this. Sometimes it's worst to best order. If I have less than 12, 11 or less, because then I'd have an open spot, I can claim a player on somebody else's open taxi squad. So, for example, we have Jalen Reagor. Jalen Reagor was a first-round pick. By the way, it's not as simple as it sounds, because there is compensation for the team that gets their player stolen. And I'm going to walk you through this. So this is an example. Jalen Reagor. Let's say I have Jalen Reagor. And he was a first-round pick. All right? You have to keep track of who's first round, who's second round for this kind of reason. But he's a first-round pick. Let's say I have him on my taxi squad. But he is not one of my 12 people that I decide to keep. And Team Judy's, we'll call them, Judge Jerry Judy's, decides they have only 10 players, and they're up to claim, because it's their turn, and they claim Jalen Reagor. They get to keep Jalen Reagor, or I have to put him on the active roster and cut somebody else, or let somebody else be available to be on the roster, on the block. And if I decide, you know what, I don't have room for that. I'm willing to give you Jalen Reagor. What I get in return is a pick in between, so that at the end of that round he was selected. So I would get it's called a sandwich pick. So I'd get pick 13. And then if it goes around, let's say somebody else steals Keyshawn Vaughn, then they would get pick 14. And we go around until everyone has either claimed of what they've wanted, or every team is at 12. That is what I call the reserve draft. Why do we do the reserve draft? I think it makes players that are seeming to be busts, these Henry Ruggs, the Jalen Rangers, these even Tuas and stuff like that, they have much more value. It creates a ton more strategy because now you have this separate thing and you are constantly thinking, oh my goodness, I have to get down to 12 players. I have to get down to whatever it is, 11, 13, whatever the number is. And the expansion draft, which I think is even a better version of it, because when we talk about expansion, we kind of named it after the Vegas Knights expansion draft. And so the expansion draft, very similar. I say similar weird. Very similar. What it is you basically can select certain amount of max of certain positions. So let's just say Superflex League, 3 quarterbacks, 4 running backs, 4 wide receivers, 2 tight ends. So that is 13 players. Or you can choose, and this is a number. You can choose 11 of your best football players, 11 of any position that you want. Why do we do that? That's very similar to the NHL expansion, and we do this because when you are sitting with 4, 5 quarterbacks in Superflex, yes, that's an awesome strategy. But how frustrating is it to some teams that are just like, man, they don't want to trade them. And we're just kind of sitting into these teams where, especially when you get some of these big teams or you get these orphan teams, these kind of reserve drafts and expansion drafts are really good for teams that maybe have a couple teams that constantly keep dipping out because you're like, man, and you can't find an orphan team. Well, this gives them an opportunity to catch up because now you have 4 quarterbacks. Crap, I have 4 quarterbacks. And I either need to A, make a trade, or B, I need to keep 11 of my best players because I have 4 quarterbacks and I'm not willing to give up a quarterback. So I'm now going to have to give up a different positional player. It makes it super fun because now everyone knows where everyone's at. We had teams that they traded, especially early on, they traded for a ton of draft picks. And they were just draft pick heavy. Well, now they had to start giving up some players. And right, you can create your own compensation plan of what happens when a player gets taken. Okay, let's just say a player that is not taxi squad gets taken. What is your compensation plan for that? Do they automatically get a end of first round pick, a second round pick, or they get a value pick, or what do they get? So there are different compensations that you can give up. We like to do where they were drafted. Now, when it comes to a actual player, let's just say if they steal anybody, let's say you have Aaron Rodgers, Dak Prescott, Baker Mayfield, and Kirk Cousins, and they take Baker Mayfield. What kind of compensation plan, or what kind of, and if it's a non-rookie, sometimes they would get no one. They would get no one in return. It was only a taxi player. So they would have to be, let's just say, same example, except Tua was there. And Tua, let's just say in a Superflex League, was a first-round pick. You would get a sandwich pick. You'd get 13th. But if they took Kirk, you'd get no one. It's the fun kind of ways that you can have so much more strategy. And I love strategy. I love trying to outsmart teams. For example, this is one of the trades that I made. N'Keal Harry, you could tell 2/3 of the way into his rookie season that he wasn't very good. And I didn't like it. But I got him as a throw-in piece simply for the fact that I wanted a sandwich pick. And what I mean a sandwich pick is I was going to leave him unprotected and I was going to let him dangle and see if any other team said, hey, he could be one of my top 13 players. A rebuild team who only kept like six or seven players was like, hey, I am just going to scoop up and try to get all these different rookie flyers. And N'Keal Harry was there, and they're like, ooh, I want N'Keal Harry. Boom. I got now pick 13 for N'Keal Harry, and so like I got that additional to the trade versus what that person was thinking. Well, N'Keal Harry, he's a bust. I don't like him. So like these are strategic things where you can start adding into trades. You now have kind of 2 different roster deadlines. And I always say, do the reserve before you do the major 30-man cut. Do the reserve, then you can do the 30-man roster, 40-man roster, whatever roster size you have. So this is my little twist on Dynasty. I love it this way. It keeps teams from overloading. there are teams, and it happens. We have Dynasty people that get way too good, that watch way too many videos and are way too addicted. Or we have some people that just don't have the dedication in Dynasty. You get these players that they just want to play in Dynasty, they want to do a little bit. Or you get these teams that have, like, it's so hard to, like, buy a team when it's like, man, this team sucks. And I've taken over an orphan. I've taken over an orphan that literally had nothing. But I knew that it had a reserve draft. It had some different things, some different tweaks, and some different roster cuts that I knew I was going to be able to acquire better players down the road. I was going to be able to build faster. So if anything, in Dynasty, you want to have it fun. So expansion draft. Let me know if you guys have done it, or if you're going to do it in a league, or if you're going to implement it in a league. I think that would be fun too. Just be like, hey, and if you're going to implement a reserve draft or a rookie or a reserve draft or expansion draft, I would give it, say like, hey, I would say, we're going to do it next month, or we're going to do it, not next month, next week, or 2 weeks from now. I would say, hey, let's plan on adding this in 2022. Just saying, hey, we're going to do this. Usually it's nice to have a rookie draft in August, because then kind of you've already had the rookies and stuff, but just say, well, hey, we're going to do the expansion draft. We're going to do the reserve draft, whatever you can call it, whatever you want to call it, the player stealing draft. We're going to do that, and then we do that right away, by the way. That's the first thing we do, right when roster cuts. And if you want to do it after the rookie draft, just make sure that the rookie draft, let's say we're doing 2021 now, that if you do the rookie draft in 2021, those players are off limits. They're in the taxi squad, but they're off limits. You're not going to steal players that haven't even been on the field or had a chance to be on the field yet. So that is my little roster twist. Let me know what you guys think. We've started with the reserve draft, and we kind of then we added it to an expansion draft for a league, and I thought that was, I was like, hey, the Vegas Knights have that. Let's do that. I think that'd be super fun. So again, this is Marcus Nice Football Dads. Make sure you get this nice little jersey, and let me know of any other rule twists or anything else fun that you guys like to do to your league. All right, peace out. Take care.
Now turn up.